The first thing I saw was the look on her face, not anger. Not embarrassment. Not even shock. It was fear. The moment still plays in my mind whenever I think about how quickly a person's life can change. 1 second I was standing in the hallway of our apartment, frozen after accidentally looking through a half-open bedroom door. The next second, my roommate had caught me staring while she was changing clothes. My heart nearly stopped. I expected yelling, accusations, maybe even a demand that I move out. Instead, she quietly pulled the door wider, looked straight at me, and said she needed my help. Before I continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Silent Dad Stories. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts around the world. That afternoon had started like any other. I was 29 years old, working remotely as a graphic designer and renting a modest apartment in a quiet neighborhood. My roommate, Marisol Vance, had moved in 6 months earlier after responding to an online listing. We got along well enough, but our relationship was simple and respectful. We shared rent, exchanged occasional conversations in the kitchen, and mostly stayed out of each other's lives. Marisol was the kind of person who always seemed composed. She left early for work, returned around sunset, and spent most evenings reading or watching documentaries. She was kind but reserved, carrying a sadness in her eyes that never completely disappeared. That day, I came home earlier than expected. I had gone out to grab lunch and returned carrying groceries. As I entered the apartment, I heard movement coming from the hallway. Her bedroom door was partially open. I wasn't trying to look. At least, not intentionally. But my eyes drifted toward the room at exactly the wrong moment. For a brief second, I saw her changing clothes. Then she turned. Our eyes met. Every possible apology rushed into my mind at once. I immediately looked away. The grocery bag nearly slipped from my hands. But instead of slamming the door shut, she surprised me. She opened it wider. When I looked back, she was fully dressed, but her face had lost all color. There were tears gathering in her eyes. And then she said those words. She needed my help. I followed her into the living room, expecting an explanation. What she showed me changed everything. Her hands were shaking as she unlocked her phone and handed it to me. The screen contained dozens of messages. Threatening messages. Cruel messages. Messages from someone who seemed determined to destroy her life. At first, I assumed it was an angry ex-boyfriend. I was wrong. It was her father. The story that followed left me speechless. For years, Marisol had lived under the control of a wealthy and powerful family. Her father owned several successful businesses and expected absolute obedience from everyone around him. To the outside world, he was respected. Inside the family, he was feared. Every decision she made had been controlled. Every friendship had been monitored. Every dream she had was treated like an inconvenience. 3 years earlier, she finally escaped. She moved across the country. Changed jobs. Started over. For the first time in her life, she felt free. Then her father found her. The messages had started a few weeks earlier. At first they were demands. Then threats. Then promises that he would make her regret leaving. She had ignored them. But things had escalated. Someone had been following her. Someone had been taking pictures of her apartment. Someone knew where she worked. For the first time since moving away, she was genuinely terrified. The reason she needed my help was simple. She had nobody else. No close family. No trusted friends nearby. No one she felt safe calling. Just a roommate she barely knew. I remember looking at her and realizing how lonely she truly was. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones carrying the heaviest burdens. Over the following weeks, our lives became intertwined in ways neither of us expected. I helped her document everything. We reported the harassment, installed security cameras, changed locks, collected evidence. What began as practical support slowly turned into friendship. For the first time, Marisol started opening up about her life. I learned how much pain she carried. How many birthdays had been ruined by criticism. How many dreams had been crushed before they even had a chance to grow. How many years she spent believing she was never good enough. The more she shared, the more I understood why fear lived behind her smile. One evening, we sat on the apartment balcony watching sunlight stretch across the city. She admitted something that broke my heart. She told me she didn't know how to trust people anymore. Every person who was supposed to protect her had hurt her. Every place that should have felt safe had become a source of anxiety. She said she felt broken. I didn't have some magical answer. I simply reminded her that surviving everything she had survived wasn't weakness. It was strength. And for the first time, I saw her cry openly. Not out of fear. Out of relief. The investigation eventually revealed that her father had hired a private investigator to track her movements. Once authorities became involved, the harassment finally began to slow. But healing takes longer than ending a threat. The fear remained. The nightmares remained. The loneliness remained. So we kept moving forward one day at a time. Small victories became important. A day without anxiety. A full night of sleep. A genuine laugh. A peaceful morning coffee. Life slowly became brighter. Months passed. Spring turned into summer. The apartment that once felt like two strangers sharing space started feeling like a home. We cooked meals together. Argued over terrible movies. Celebrated birthdays. Supported each other through difficult days. And somewhere along the way, something unexpected happened. The friendship became deeper. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. Just quietly. Like sunlight slowly filling a room. One Saturday afternoon, we volunteered at a local community center. While helping distribute food boxes, I noticed something remarkable. Marisol seemed different. Lighter. Freer. The woman who once lived in constant fear was smiling at strangers and making children laugh. The transformation wasn't complete. Healing never is. But it was real. That night, she told me something I will never forget. She said that the reason she finally believed life could get better was because one person had chosen kindness when it would have been easier to walk away. I didn't know what to say. Because the truth was that she had changed me too. Before meeting her, I lived a quiet life focused mostly on myself. Helping her reminded me that human beings need each other. Sometimes the most important moments happen when we simply show up for someone who is struggling. A year after that frightening afternoon, another unexpected event occurred. Marisol received a letter. Not from her father. From her younger sister. A sister she hadn't spoken to in years. The letter was filled with apologies. Regret. Hope. And a request to reconnect. Reading it brought tears to her eyes. For days she wrestled with uncertainty. Should she respond? Could she trust her? Would reopening that chapter bring more pain? In the end, she chose courage. They met. Slowly rebuilt their relationship. And discovered that both of them had spent years missing each other. Watching that reunion was one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed. Because sometimes second chances aren't about romance. Sometimes they're about family. Sometimes they're about healing old wounds. Sometimes they're about finding the courage to believe that people can change. As the years passed, life continued moving forward. There were still challenges. Still setbacks. Still difficult days. But the fear that once controlled her life no longer defined her future. She built a successful career, repaired meaningful relationships, created a life that belonged entirely to her. And every time she accomplished something new, I felt proud. Not because I saved her. Because she saved herself. All I did was stand beside her during the hardest chapter. If you've made it this far and this story has touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Silent Dad Stories. Stories like these remind us that kindness can change lives in ways we never expect. Special request: comment below with the word hope if you believe one act of kindness can change someone's future forever. Today, when I think back to that awkward afternoon, I don't remember the embarrassment. I don't remember the panic. I don't remember being caught staring. What I remember is a frightened person reaching out for help. And another person choosing not to turn away. Life often disguises its most important moments as ordinary accidents. A missed bus. A wrong turn. A chance conversation. A half-open door. You never know when a single decision to help someone will alter the course of two lives forever. Because sometimes the greatest gift we can offer another human being isn't money, advice, or solutions. Sometimes it's simply our presence. The willingness to stay. The willingness to listen. The willingness to remind someone they are not facing the darkness alone. And in a world where so many people are silently fighting battles nobody can see, that kind of kindness may be the most powerful thing we can give. Marisol taught me that healing is possible. That fear doesn't have to win. That second chances are real. And that even the most broken chapters can become part of a beautiful ending. The day she said she needed my help wasn't the beginning of a love story. It was the beginning of something even more meaningful. It was the beginning of hope. And sometimes, hope is enough to change everything.